right, good evening. Thank you for attending the Almont Community Schools Board of Education work session on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. We will call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Burrow, will you do roll call, please?
Absolutely. Ms. Rotarius?
Here.
Ms. Spread?
Here.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Burrow here. Mr. Eckert?
Here.
Mr. Wade?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
We have all 7.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Adoption of the agenda. Any additions, Mrs. Bondurant?
There are none.
No? Deletions?
No,
Amendments?
there are none.
Communications?
Communications, we are going to start with our OP Director of Student Success tonight, Mrs. Lippert. Thank you for being here.
All right, I did put a QR code in here just because I broke like the cardinal rule of presenting, and there are some slides that have far too much text on them. So it is up there in case you're interested in it. You're more than welcome to help yourselves. So I am Stephanie Howie. I'm the Director of Student Success at Orchard Primary. I am nearing my 20th year in education. I started at the high school level. I was a middle school principal, and then this is like my 5th year in elementary education. It was actually during COVID that I realized that early literacy, so therefore elementary education was my passion. So I get to live that out every day at OP, which makes me very, very happy. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I do on a daily basis so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on. And I will, there we go. Okay, so this is kind of hard to see, but this was my attempt to kind of talk through what I do on a daily basis. So this is a screenshot of my calendar. I start my day when the bell rings at the south door, welcoming the students into the building. From there, I head down to the cafeteria to make sure that the kiddos get breakfast and that they get out in time to get to class, because they will sit there all day. Just yak it up, right? And then one of the things that I do, which I will get into later, is ELA WIN, right? And most of you, I'm sure, know WIN stands for What I Need. So I teach our 2nd grade WIN group, our 1st grade WIN group, and then our 3rd grade WIN group. That's why there's those 3 different arrows. And then over here on my side, so one of the things, this was obviously from a week or so ago, one of the things that we had going on in the building is that the students were invited to write letters to Santa. So I said to the teachers, hey, if you need 15, 20 minutes, I will come into your room. I will facilitate the letter writing so that you can go to the bathroom, make a copy, make another coffee, whatever it is you need. So I actually did 3 of them that day, I think. So kindergarten, 3rd grade, and then kindergarten again at the end of the day. And then in the middle of the day, I just had a hold in my calendar in case a student needed support. One of the teachers had come to me and said, hey, she's having some issues at recess. Would you be willing to work with her? So I said, yeah, let me put it in my calendar because I live and die by this thing. Another thing that we did this day was Adam and I sat down and talked about CKLA and the CKLA implementation and kind of our plan going forward for that, which feeds into teacher PD. And then toward the end of the day, I met with Adam and the paraeducators to talk about their data that they're collecting during WIN before we went into I-Team. That's actually the same time that I usually teach bonus WIN. So when you see me talk about bonus WIN later, we just didn't have bonus WIN that day so that we could meet with the para-eds because they are hourly. And then I end my day back at the south door and then send the buses on their way. So that's my day. And then what I did is I actually took my job description and broke it down into the 3 categories of the things that I actually do on a daily basis. So you kind of get an idea of that job description that I'm sure you all kind of had a hand in when this position was coming to fruition, like how is that actually playing out in real life? So the 3 different hats, I guess, are behavioral, non-academic supports, community or school culture and community, and then academic supports. And then I'm actually going to break down, I'm going to just talk about each one of these so that you get an idea of what I do. So the first one is behavioral and non-academic supports. So this is primarily just supporting the kids, right? Like this is making sure that they're successful on a non-academic level. Obviously, academics and behavior go hand in hand, but this is strictly behavioral. So the Positivity Project is one of the big ones. The teachers are all teaching the Positivity Project in their classrooms. And then me and myself and Miss T, who's actually here this evening, who's our behavior interventionist, we tag team and actually push into the classrooms to do a Positivity Project once a month on whatever the trait of the month or the trait of the week is. So our last one was open-mindedness. So we read a book to the kids about open-mindedness versus closed-mindedness, and then we went through and did an activity about, this is an example of open-mindedness or closed-mindedness, and the kids told us, open or closed. And actually, this was the week right before Thanksgiving, so it was cool to tie in, are you going to try something new, right, at Thanksgiving? Like, let's all talk about what we eat at Thanksgiving dinner, and like, who likes cranberry sauce? Who doesn't like cranberry sauce? Is trying a new food an example of open-mindedness. So that was a cool tie-in. And then another thing that I do is work with Miss T and Mr. Bruno on our C-Stags, right? So those are just our threats that may take place during the day, and then just walk through that entire process with them. And then we do Rad Raider assemblies and lunches. So we actually did our first Rad Raider assembly a few weeks ago, and we read the kids a book. So it was myself, Mr. Bruno, Officer Mike, and Miss T, and I was the narrator, and Mr. Bruno was the lion, and I think Miss T was the otter, and then Officer Mike was the fox, I think. So we put the kids in the cafeteria by grade level, and then we read the book and talked about how the characteristics of the book go into being a Rad Raider. So how did the characteristics of the book tie into what we expect our Rad Raiders to be? So it was cool. The kids loved it. The second thing I do is school culture and community. I guess this is my second hat. So even though CKLA implementation doesn't really feel like it would fit with it, it actually does if you look through my job description. So as you all know, CKLA is being implemented K through 5 next year. So I have been working with Adam to come up with a plan and working with the teachers on how we're actually going to roll that out and what that training is going to look like, and answer the questions for the teachers, sit down with the teachers to kind of walk through some of the questions that they have about CKLA. And then one of the other things that I do is our para-eds are the ones who teach WIN along with me. They do way more than I do, but we tag team ELA WIN. So I kind of walked them through a curriculum that we are using this year in ELA WIN. So all of us together are doing the exact same thing in ELA WIN across all the grade levels and across the different groups. And then a big one is building relationships with the kids and the teachers, right? So this one is hard to put into a slide, I guess, but that's really where I spend the majority of my day, is building those relationships with the kids and the teachers. And then the third hat is academic supports. So this one's a lot. I teach ELA WIN, like I mentioned, so I have first, second, and third grade. I have our 6 highest need kiddos in each grade level. So I am working with the highest 6, which are actually technically the lowest 6, right? The kids who are most in need of intervention, those are the 6 that I have in ELA at each grade level. I also teach bonus WIN. So bonus WIN's kind of going through a little bit of a transition right now. I was working with our English language learners in the building. One of our English language learners has moved back home, and the other one is making so much progress that she really doesn't need that one-on-one support anymore. So I'm actually transitioning to trying to figure out what kind of small groups I'm going to facilitate with the different grade levels. So that'll be an after Christmas rollout. I also support the teachers and Adam during I-Team and data days. So a lot of the data that I am bringing to those is data that the WIN paras or the para-eds give to me. So every time the para-eds sit down in WIN with their students and do any kind of assessment, I actually go through and catalog all of that data so I know how each one of those kids that they're working with is doing. I am also the ELL coordinator, co-coordinator with Cindy Howe at the high school, who said the exact same thing but put my name in it a couple weeks ago. We just went through SIOP training. And then I also do classroom push-ins for teachers that need extra support with literacy in their classrooms. Whew, okay. This is the thing that I think I'm most proud of right now. So the third graders, led by Mrs. Rahala, came to me and said, we want to do something to reduce waste in the school building. And I said, all right, let's do something. That's a great idea. So this is actually like a multifaceted project right now. I feel like every day it takes on a different arm. They are collecting food in the cafeteria that would otherwise be thrown away, right? It cannot be eaten by humans, but it can definitely be eaten by animals. They are also, they just made scavenger hunts for a Christmas event, which was super fun. And they're in the process of coming up with service learning-based projects to do when they go on a field trip to the animal sanctuary for whom they are collecting all of this food in the cafeteria. So it's kind of like, it started out as, I don't want to throw this banana away, and it's kind of morphed into this just massive, really, really cool thing. So it's Mrs. Rahala's class, this is all Mrs. Rahala's class, but they actually collected their like spare change, cans, and then they sat down and they did an activity where they had to figure out how much money they had and how many things off of the sanctuary's wish list, easy for me to say, they could buy. And then they went through and they voted on like which group came up with the best things to buy with the money that they had, and then they actually bought those things. And they're going to donate them. The middle picture is the two middle pictures are their scavenger hunts, and then the one on the end is actually a example of the scavenger hunt they came up with. So I love this project. We'll be submitting a proposal to Fort County by January 1st. The kids are going to make a video. They already have a document going where they've answered all of the application questions. They will make the video next week with my help, obviously, and then we'll submit the application. This is feedback. So what I did is I put together a survey at the beginning of the year for the teachers, and well, actually our entire staff, to make sure that I was doing all of the things that they expected of me before I got hired. So this is where the too much text on the slide comes in, so I won't bore you with all of this right now. But it was interesting to me. I actually did get a decent amount of responses from people who weren't classroom teachers, which I liked because I interact with everybody that is in our building. So the teachers had really, really nice comments because they're a phenomenal staff. And I'm sure that was my 10 minutes, even though I talked really, really fast. So thank you.
Any questions for Mrs. Hunt?
First off, it's fantastic to hear that you got kids that are moving out of the program because they are now doing well. Sometimes it's just that little bit of support to get them on their feet. So I just wanted to congratulate you and say great job with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Burns.
I have a letter to the board here about Mrs. Holloway. Dear Almont Board, Stephanie Holloway has been a great asset to our para-ed program. Whether she's training us on a certain curriculum, teaching us helpful techniques for a lesson, or getting us prepared with all the material we need for wing groups, Stephanie has been extremely helpful to all three of us. She works tirelessly to make sure each and every student at Orchard Primary is getting the support and guidance they need to prepare them for the following year. Stephanie always advocates for us and keeps the line of communication open between us and the teachers. She's definitely our go-to person. We appreciate you taking your time to read this letter. Thank you. Sherry Gibson, Colleen Islands, and Lori Lawrence.
Very nice to hear.
Any other questions? Mr. Burrow.
Yeah, how many ELO learners do we have at the OP? Currently, was it 2?
5.
There's 5. Okay.
I would just like to commend you. Very, very impressive. Thank you for going above and beyond every day that you step foot on the OP grounds, and I believe that you have a lot of thank you so much. We're happy to have you here, and just thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Okay, we're going to move on to our ACS Safety Committee. Just a quick update. Had a safety committee meeting last night with 8 members in attendance, included teachers, parents, and Officer Wetzler. So it was a small group, but a nice group, engaged in some conversation and had some feedback. Perspectives were also shared regarding the incident that took place on November 5th. Also, there was a few concerns that were brought up, kind of apart from the November 5th incident, regarding sidewalks. And I know that I've been in chats here with Jason Frederick, our maintenance director, and he's aware of some of the slippery spots that have been brought to our attention around the campus. But not only was that mentioned, some of the slippery spots, and especially as we get into some of this inclement weather, but also about some of the overall safety or traffic issues too, in somewhat of that same corner over by the high school there in the football field adjacent where we were talking about potentially looking at a pathway for our students. But it wasn't just about the slick spots, it was also about just the traffic itself in that corner. So that was brought to the attention last night. Also, the committee's definitely expressed commitment to maintaining safe, secure learning environments. Looking forward to potentially securing the outer entrances, so getting that looked at as a priority project as well. Officer Retzler and I are continuing to work collaboratively on the emergency or the newly revised EOP, the Emergency Operations Plan, which we will bring to the board in January as our plan. So it's an immediate need, so we'd like to put that in front of you as soon as possible. So January is going to be the target date. So just wanted to bring that quick update to the board. Any questions? Okay. Also wanted to make an announcement for Rate of Recognition for this month, which will take place on Monday, December 15th. There will be some brief presentations from 3 student groups coming to speak and highlight their achievements. So we have OP Rad Raiders, I believe, are going to be joining us on the 15th, December 15th. Is that?
Raider reps.
Sorry, what did I say, Rad Raiders? I'm sorry, Raider Reps, yes, will be joining us. I just created something new. And that is going to be led by teacher and advisor, Mrs. Cobb here. And she'll share some overview of some of the goals for this coming school year. Followed by the Almont High School marching band under the direction of Mr. Wetzel, and the Almont varsity dance team coached by Sarah Przondek. They will also speak about their season and successes they've earned throughout the season in their hard work and dedication. And also, spoiler alert, for January, we're going to have our athletic director inviting several of our fall sports programs, student athletes and coaches to come and provide a summary so that they can highlight their achievements as well in January. Any questions on that? Okay.
Okay, this will bring us to our first questions and comments pertaining to the agenda for the audience. If anybody would like to be recognized, raise your hand. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your first and last name.
Sorry guys, this is my first time here. Martina Krasnovic, the behavior interventionist. So I'm going to speak both for Mr. Bruno. He can't be here today, so he had sent me something to read for him, and then also for myself. So this is for Mr. Bruno. It says, "Good evening, Almont Board of Education. I'm unable to attend today's board meeting because I'm homesick with a kiddo, but I do not want to miss this opportunity to share the incredible value that Ms. Howie brings to our OP team. For her first day, Ms. Howie has completely changed the game of our OP students, staff, and families. Ms. Howie has taken on an extraordinary role in supporting our intervention program. She has led the charge to implement the U-Fly intervention program of all of our WIN students, leading to increased student learning. She communicates with our WIN para team on a daily basis, ensuring that they know precisely what to do with this curriculum and ensuring a clean rollout of this program for the benefit of our students. Beyond that, she takes large portions of the day to provide vital intervention to our neediest students. The WIN program is just a small, tangible piece of what Ms. Howie does on a daily basis. She is a fierce advocate for the academic needs of our students and staff. On a daily basis, staff come to her to collaborate and seek advice on how to support students. More often than not, she has a great idea on how she can support the student, and if she doesn't know the answer, she will seek it out to support the teacher and student. When you think about servant leadership, Ms. Howie embodies that through and through. Last year, the board heard from me, Mr. Bruno, on many occasions about the value this position would bring to OP. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined the exceptional impact Ms. Howie would bring to this role. She makes my life as a role as a principal infinitely better, and I could not be more grateful to have her on the OP team. So thank you for your time, and for Ms. T, that'd be me, for reading this for me. Sorry, I know I ran fast, but I also want to put my a little bit of my opinion, I guess, on Ms. Howie here. I absolutely love working with her. I think what she is doing is making such a wonderful difference. I want to emphasize the effort she puts into relationships because she has rolled out so many things for all of the teachers. This week she's working on putting elves around the school and teachers find them and they come in to get a sweet treat. We've also been working on being goosed. So what it means is a teacher each day at the end of their day gets to leave earlier for 45 minutes. So goose is, get out of school early. And myself and Mr. Bruno have been filling in those spots to make sure that the teachers are recognized, and that is all coming from her. And I will tell you, for my last position, I went into approximately 15 different schools a week, and I have never, ever been into a building where the morale is this high. And it really, really makes a difference. I see it every single day, and I think that she is very, very needed and appreciated here at OP. Thank you.
Anybody else I can recognize?
I will, because I cried last year asking for somebody, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am that you guys let us get somebody, because this lady has single-handedly changed our school. And I don't know, I'm sure all the teachers will tell you, it just makes it easier to come to work. Her and Adam as a team, and now Mrs. T, I like coming to work, where I used to cry, oh my gosh, I can't do another day of this. They have single-handedly changed this school, and she is a huge asset to everybody, not just teachers and kids. I mean, all of us. She puts all of us first, and she's wonderful, and I thank you guys for listening to us and getting us somebody so amazing. That's all.
Thank you.
Anybody else I can recognize?
I guess I will. I can't help myself. I can't help. Oh yes, I'm Katie LaPonce. I teach first grade at OP, and I think there's no words to express how grateful we are to have someone like her. She knows what we need before we need it. We come to her, and she's always on it for a solution. I don't know how she has enough time in a day to support each of us, because I feel like I'm taking so much of her day. And then I hear about how much she's doing for all of us. And I think that you have done a great job in allowing us to get this position. And I think she is so efficient, so effective, and we value her as much as we feel valued and heard. And I really, really appreciate that.
Anybody else I can recognize?
I'm Stephanie Mihalich, first grade teacher at OP. Short and sweet, I've been at OP now for 10 years, and I would hands down say that the morale has never been higher than it is in our building this year. And that is absolute kudos to Adam and Stephanie's dynamic duo. We feel seen, we feel supported, we feel appreciated, and I can't even put into words how appreciated you are as well. That's it.
Anybody else I can recognize? Board of Education.
Okay.
Mr. Burrow.
First, this is great. Thanks for coming and saying all this wonderful stuff, and the presentation was wonderful. So thank you for putting that together. I'm going to read the feedback at the end when I get a chance. And the second thing is we have so many OP people here. The board, we just are astounded by the blue ribbon. Great job for everybody for that. So thank you so much for bringing that down.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Appreciate it. Anybody else from the board?
Mrs. Smith, I did want to make an announcement again. Just number one, just thank you all for being here and for sharing. And that is very impactful. And so thank you for taking the time. I know you're very busy this time of year, but you guys have made a really strong statement here. And kudos to you for sure. Stephanie and Principal Bruno.
Yes.
I hear you loud and clear. It's been awesome to observe. It's been awesome to observe. So great job. So thank you. Thank you so much for your work. Okay, I also wanted to make a communication also, just to let people know that it was last board meeting And people watching right now, we had a tech glitch at our regular November board meeting. So that has since been fixed. And people watching right now, just want to let you know, we are working together. I don't know, Mr. Allen's probably working on it right now as I speak. But we are going to work hard in our work sessions too to make sure that our public can see the screen in future. But right now we're having a little bit of a tech glitch with getting that together. But I just wanted everyone to know that we're working hard so that you're able to engage with us throughout the work session, okay, in the board meeting. So I just wanted to make that announcement. Thank you.
Anybody else from the board? I also want to echo Mr. Burrow's comment. Congratulations on the board meeting. That's amazing. Thank you, all of you, for taking time out of your day, this holiday season, for being here. Pretty greatly appreciated. We all your feedback. Thank you for everything. I do have one other thing. We have a thank you. Almont Board of Education, on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, I would like to thank you for your generous donation in the name of Walter Frederickson. This money will help to cover the expenses of our yearly induction ceremonies, so we can continue to honor other deserving coaches, athletes, and community members. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. I was going to put the survey up for the next session. What's that?
I have the survey.
You have the survey? Okay, you want to put that up then for me? As you're getting that fired up here, Mr. Allen, so board did share out the tech survey results regarding the staff tech survey, and I have the student tech survey results as well to share with you. We are looking to get some feedback, I think, that really stemmed from a conversation of really full transparency of how much our one-to-one, our Chromebooks were being utilized through instruction and as students are working through completing their work. I'll start with the staff tech survey first. And I have a record of high school participants or teacher staff 22, middle school at 58, and OP 14. So I know that's a little bit lower on the OP side. I did talk to Principal Bruno today, but it does represent about approximately 2/3 of OP. So again, this is about acquiring a pulse to see where we're at. So the first question is, how often do you use technology during instruction? I took always and the usually, kind of combine those columns because I feel like that's the strong point. And we're looking at about 70% as really strong use of that technology during instruction. For the question 2, how often do your students use school-issued devices during class? Again, taking a look at these, looking at the average for that always and usually being at 58% between all three of the buildings there. Question 3, what additional technology do you feel would benefit your classroom or teaching? You can see here that both, I would say through the high school, middle school, and OP, very much interested in those interactive whiteboards. So interactive whiteboards and document cameras. Yes, a lot of our teachers do have access to the document cameras, but this might be a time or a wave that will be updating some of these technology or the technology in these classrooms. So that is stated as well. Question 4, are there any devices or technologies available at your school that you do not currently use in your classroom? It looks like we have most of it is being utilized. There's some equipment that is outstanding, I would say, or probably older equipment. I do know that there might be an outstanding or older TV or VCR out there. There could be some old sound equipment, document cameras, an iPad, etc. But most of the technology in the classrooms is being utilized. How comfortable are you with the use of AI, so artificial intelligent tools in the classroom? Again, you can see the breakdown there. I took the comfortable and somewhat comfortable categories, did the averages for those. So for the comfortable would be about 24% and somewhat 47%, looking at these totals here. I'd also make special note that our AI training, or PD, is coming up for our next one next month in January 19th. For our teachers in grades 6 through 12. K through 5 will be engaged in PD for the CKLA. So there's more additional AI training coming about here. Question 6, do you use GoGuardian or similar tools to monitor students' online activity during class? So again, looking at that always usually, looking at that, bringing that all together, about 34% between those two categories. For question 7, would you prefer ongoing tech training throughout the year or an initial training at the start of the year? Both being a little bit more of those higher numbers, so that's at 40% if you combine all the buildings. What training would you like to see offered, if any? If you look for the individual responses in the document, you'll see AI tools, Google Classroom, and some PowerSchool requests. Question 9, are there any other tech tools or resources not directly related to student devices that would improve your teaching or classroom experience? Again, they mentioned, again, AI tools, interactive whiteboards, maybe a new laptop updated if some of these are getting older. Question 10, we're probably going to disregard only because there was, after looking at these results and asking a few questions, I think there was confusion on this question. How many of your classes are 100% online or mostly online? I think the direction was going to be more so, are you not so much an online class like Michigan Virtual, but are you utilizing like Google Classroom like as your platform to be like an online, like managing your classroom online? So that was a little bit skewed, so I'd like to disregard that. I don't think that's good information to really analyze. Okay, so that is our staff. Are there any questions on this one before I go to the students? Any feedback from the board?
Yes, I would be interested to know how the staff would feel, if they had whiteboards and cameras, do they need the Chromebooks? How important, what is the most important to staff in teaching your classes? I think that would be a really great question to be asking, so that we know where to funnel our funds to appropriately.
Mr. Burrow.
And you mean just the teacher's Chromebooks, correct? Not the student Chromebooks?
Well, I know, it could be student Chromebooks, if the
Okay.
teachers feel that whiteboards and cameras are going to help their teaching abilities more than a Chromebook,
Right.
then where should we be putting our money?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Smith, I don't know if it was a joke or not, the middle school, someone put virtual reality headset. And I was just kind of curious if that was like a...
That is a thing.
That is a
Yeah,
thing,
it
okay.
is. It
Okay.
is. Yeah, I've seen
Okay.
it at like a McCall conference and
Yeah,
technology conference.
Yeah, well, no, I know they're real,
Really-
I just didn't know
yeah,
how
it's
it would
really
apply
cool.
to the classroom is all.
Yeah,
that was-
it's really cool. Like, you could, take a tour, like if it was in
Yeah.
history or something, you
Okay.
could,
Yeah,
you
okay.
could explore the ruins, so.
Yeah, okay.
Great question.
Anything else? No? Okay. Going on to students. Mr. Allen, do you have students? Okay, thank you. Okay, so some feedback here. So it looks like we were able to get the survey out to students in grades 4 through 12. So we had 186 students participate and 276 middle school students to acquire a little pulse here. So question 1, do you have access to a personal computer, tablet, or other device at home? With the yeses combined, the average is 87%. So definitely have access there, it looks like. How often do you use a personal device, computer, tablet, phone, for example, for school-related work? Always usually took those, combined those at about 40%. For that always and usually, those two groups there. How often do you use a school-issued device during class? Always usually, combine those for 62% average there. Question 4, how often do you use technology, a laptop or tablet for homework assignments? For the always and usually, combine those at 45%. Question 5, how often do you use your device for non-academic purposes like social media, gaming? Always and usually combined at about 37%. That's where that came up. And question 6, which of the following apps or websites do you use most frequently for school-related tasks? Definitely you can see Google Classroom, Google Drive, that could be Google Suite, Slides, that could be Google Sheets. You can see the high participation rate there. And then YouTube also, YouTube videos, which some people are thinking, oh, why YouTube? There's a lot of educational, YouTube videos. actually if your kids are ever struggling with math, for example, I know back in the day, my son actually utilized a lot of math in whether it was calculus or geometry. There's a lot of self-help and YouTube direction there, so YouTube videos. Question 7, how many of your classes are 100% online or mostly? Again, a little bit skewed there. I think you might get a little bit of a better representation maybe from the high school, but I'd like to say that that's probably a skewed question just because of the way it was worded and interpreted. So, any questions there for the staff portion, staff survey? I'm sorry, student, I said staff, student survey.
Ms. Smith? How many students took the survey?
So we had 186 high school and 276 for middle school.
The one thing that stuck out to me the most here, as we're considering Chromebooks and other technology, is the high school. So out of 186, you said?
186, yeah.
Less than 2% said that they never use a device during class, which would mean that only 3 students out of 186 said they never use their device in class. So like they're using, everybody is using it, I would say at that point. Middle school's a little bit higher, but I mean, you said 276 in middle school?
276.
Yeah, so I mean like it's.
These are high percentages.
Yeah, you're only talking like 10 kids in middle school, maybe 12 that aren't using the device
They're using
in
it.
class, so yeah. Yeah, because I know that we're discussing how much they're being used.
Yes.
Like that, so,
Yes.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Yep.
Mrs. Smith? For question 6, you have the different programs that we have, your extra math, Lexia, Preckle. I see some pretty low numbers on some of those. Do you pay for those? Or is it a free?
I think some of them are free subscriptions, and then some of them they're paid for.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like you can knock out the ones that aren't being used.
Something to look into.
Yeah.
What's being, I do believe, like, every year, right, there's like, when we're doing the renewals of subscriptions, that, of course, is a conversation with our tech, because it's under the tech budget, but yes, to your point, you know, which ones are free, which ones are we paying for, and is it the bang for the buck?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Smith? I know we didn't survey OP students, but generally, do you know how frequently the OP students use their Chromebooks?
So if you go back to the staff survey, let's see. How often do your students use the school-issued device during class? We have OP usually at 57%, always 14%, so between those two, it's a pretty high percentage.
And it's at 0% in the never category for school issue devices during class. So I mean, like every classroom is at least pulling them out at some point. And you know, for those that were surveyed, I know
Yes,
that we
yes,
had
at the,
had
right, the
only
OP.
half
Yeah,
answered the survey,
that's right.
but yeah, it would be 0.
Mrs. Smith, I think it would be prudent to find out that 71%, is it just the third graders, second graders, is it kindergartners that are in the 27% that are not, 29%? Because it may be where instead of buying or getting one for every student, it may be where if they're using it, but it was only once a week, maybe that's a cart that we need to look at. And that, I think that ties in with, you know, the revamping question 10 to see how many times a week they're using it, if it can be a cart that's rotated.
I like that idea to dig down a little deeper. I think we have to.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. All right, then I'm going to go to a fact sheet here in your packet. No course of study shall be taught in the schools unless it has been adopted by the board, policy 2220. Facts for some of the suggested recommended classes at the high school. We have jazz band. This 2-semester course is open to current and former band students who passed the entry audition. This class will study fundamentals of jazz and musicianship and include performance opportunities within the school and community. The prereq will be a teacher recommendation. Strength 8 for 8th grade students. This one semester course is an introduction to strength and conditioning. Students will learn techniques to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Advanced chemistry is the third course. In this 2-semester course, students will continue exploring principles of chemistry in preparation for higher education in science. The course will include investigation through hands-on labs and real-world applications. It will conclude with an introduction to organic and nuclear chemistry. The prereq is chemistry A and B.
Mrs. Smith. Normally, when a board is looking to adopt classes, we get to see exactly what is being taught throughout the semester. So there's usually a lot more in-depth information, where we should be seeing more of the course syllabus, that sort of thing. It's not just a course description. We need to see, advanced science. I know there was in the file cabinet in the counseling office, we used to keep those, and you might find one for the advanced science actually in there. I think it was called advanced science as opposed to the advanced chemistry, but it's usually broken down a lot more, according to, week 1, week 2, these are the things that we're looking to investigate. This is the book that we want to use. These are the costs entailed with it. So I think we need a little bit more information before we actually decide to approve the courses going forward.
Okay, so if that information, only because we didn't have a representative, so we didn't have representatives available tonight. So if I'm able to provide that information in the board note, or is that going to be enough information for you to move forward with a motion for Monday, or is this something that you're looking to be tabled for the next month?
This is actually in curriculum, so it's Ms. Fred,
Yes.
Justin, and Keith.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Burns, what do you think?
Just like your opinion.
I would be fine if we can get the information before Monday.
Mr. Terry?
I'm half and half, to be honest. I think we have to be careful with these types of decisions, so I am leaning a little bit more towards tabling, if I'm being honest, but I'll take consensus.
Okay, and I just, the concern moving forward is they really need to get going on the scheduling in January if we want our numbers and staffing to be what we need them to be. So I would hesitate in delaying it. I would like to see us see this fleshed out much more. And if we can make a decision at our board meeting, I think that would be great. Or we might have to table it. So I'm not opposed to tabling it. But if we could move forward with it, I think it would be very, very helpful with the high school moving forward with their scheduling process.
This is Fred.
Yes.
This is Don. The intention is to start these classes.
It's to offer them, so need to be clear, we may not get enough student interest, actually. This is after, meeting with departments and teachers of what they would like to see added into the curriculum guide for offerings to our students come during our scheduling sessions here coming up soon. So this was to introduce classes. We just didn't have Principal Spear or Mrs. Narad available tonight to speak to you directly and provide some more of those, some of the details. Now that I'm hearing, I would just provide more information through the board note if I can, to get more information from the individual teachers, the resources that are being utilized, of course, any cost that would be attached to that would be important information, for the board. I would assume these are resources. If it was going to be brand new books, things like that would be needed, that would be brought to my attention, and that has not for these 3 specific classes.
Okay, thank you. One more follow-up. What is the minimum on these classes? Like you say, might not be out, like if you don't get it back, it won't be out.
The minimum, class size, what we're talking about, so right now, we're gonna be talking about that, coming up real soon here in the next update, but we have a range right now. I think the discussion is anywhere from that 20 to 25 range right now, right? I'm asking my administration from the high school to produce schedules for 25, unless we're talking about AP, special ed, or remedial courses that typically have run lower numbers.
That's why, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's why I was wondering, like the advanced chemistry seems like one that might.
It could be a
little
potential that would
more.
be a, a potential special consideration.
Yeah.
And it's within that range that Mrs. Muirfield and I, we want to make sure that we're talking about class sizes and fiscal responsibility. So it would be within that range, if that's your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I'm all set.
So then I will produce that information if it's available, and I'll give you the update either way, so that you know what to look forward to for Monday night.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Fritz,
yes.
as secretary, are we passing the recommendation from committee for now? Or is it being recommended tonight based off the information?
We're not going to recommend it tonight
Okay.
based on the information, but we can still make that decision in a motion then on Monday at our board meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, Mrs. Smith. Just for your information, in the file cabinet that is just to the right, going down the hallway, it was always the second drawer in that file cabinet. I don't know what Kelly had it listed under, but that was where we had the course curriculums presented. May have been moved, it may have been tossed, I don't know. But that was the file cabinet where the information was, and that's what we would always pull out and give it to teachers so they knew kind of the body of what it was that they needed to put together. So
Like a
they-
template. Now that I know this, I think we
Yeah.
can either recreate that or
Yes.
piggyback what you already have.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Building and site, and that's Mr. Burrow, Mr. Burns, and Mr. Ray.
Couple of things carrying over from last month when Mr. Bond had read a report I had sent in. We're still waiting on inspections for the fire panel and the drinking fountains throughout the district. Fire panel mainly at the high school. Once we get those, we can make a final payment. I'm going to be sending out an all-staff email, and I want the board to be able to hear this as well, in case the public comes to them. But we used to have 3 dumpsters on site. They were the yellow and green ones, they were the recycling ones, they were called, from a company called Paper Retriever. They're downsizing. They pulled all the dumpsters, the recycling dumpsters today. So we're gonna have to figure something out or see what it is. That was a service that we didn't pay for. So as of 3 o'clock today, I seen the truck that they were pulling. So if anybody asks, hey, what happened to the recycling dumpsters? Because I know the public use them quite a bit, especially the one down by the track barn. So that might be something that's brought up in the community. Piggybacking off of Mrs. Bond said earlier in regards to some of the areas that the children walk on parking lots, I would like to look at improving the drop-off area at the middle school, taking into consideration some sort of dedicated walking area as well as right there at the high school where the snow piles are. We've kind of been canceling, rescheduling. We had something set for tomorrow morning, but with the weather coming in, we pushed it to Friday to look at the tennis courts, to come up with a plan for some sort of rough cost. Ms. Vaughn last month had read off the boring cost, what an engineer firm had given me to do some core samples. So we'll look at the different areas for that. The bleachers, we had them inspected and there's some repairs. For those of you that have been on the board for a while, this is just kind of an annual thing that they come in and they do the inspections. This year for the high school, for the main gym, we have almost $6,400 in repairs for the main gym bleachers. A little over $1,100 for the aux gym. And then for the exterior bleachers, we've got around $9,000 in repairs. The middle school is right around $3,400 for a grand total of $19,968.55. The company that we use, American Athletics, we've used them for pricing, but they've been a good company, and the district has used them for quite a while. Just kind of flashing back to last year, we spent almost $30,000 in bleacher repairs throughout the district. So, this is something that's, it's their age, and they get abused, just from use, not the people necessarily being malicious to them. Mrs. Bond had brought up, she wanted me to address the money that was budgeted for a blower for the track. and I had told her, I said, we'll budget $2,500. And it's my understanding there was some concerns regarding this. If the board would like me to purchase what I would consider a residential blower that would range anywhere from $399 to $700, I'll do it. But I went into it with the mindset that what we were going to spend to go along with what we've already spent on a new track, that I want a piece of equipment that would be commercial grade that would last us quite a while. One of the products or name brands that kept coming up in reviews was a brand called Billy Goat. They make, from what I see, a superior product. Most recently, talking with Mr. Doherty from Star Trek, Mrs. Bonner reached out and says, hey, asking about a blower again, because we'd already brought it up in our walks as well as our committee meetings. Without me speaking with Rick, that's exactly the brand that he brought up, that hey, Billy Goat. Now, his pricing, he said he was going to check and see, would be $1,900. Some of the pricing that I looked at, ranged from, a little over $2,000 to around $2,500. So that was why, I just threw something out there. So whichever direction the board wants me to take, I'll gladly take whatever. So I try to spend the district's money like it's my own, and to do things that we can get the best bang for our buck and have longevity out of it. So plus the commercial grades comes with a pretty good warranty as well. So yes.
For the blowers, do we determine who's going to be blowing that? Like, who's actually going to be using it? Like, I don't know anything about commercial blowers, and like,
Right.
is the right person, like, is that the right equipment for that person, or, I don't know the boat blowers that are heavy.
It's on wheels, you push it.
Okay.
So it could be used by anyone for
Okay.
that matter. And
Okay.
of course, as we look to completing the track, along with the maintenance guide, that was presented by Mr. Doherty, we would implement something to be able to utilize it and take care of the track, so.
Okay, so the commercial blower would be a push blower that you would walk a lap around the track?
Yes.
And then the residential one would be a backpack?
No,
blower, or-
same thing,
Same thing, okay.
Same, just as far as, it's a little bit beefier, I guess that's a way to say it, for something that would be a commercial grade.
Right.
So, but you can, I could get one through Home Depot, I could order it tomorrow and have it, and then be within that $399 to $700 range. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Gross, what's needed for us to say one way or the other on that?
we're going to look at the existing, all right? We're going to look at the existing, all right? And then I know that as a district, we talked about moving it potentially over by the practice field, but I would present it in a way that, here's our district. If this site won't work, in their eyes, where would be a better spot to put it?
So you're waiting to see the boring, see the results of that?
Well, potentially, yeah, and when he comes out on Friday to show him the district and say, look, here's where we're at. Because if we do move it, or anywhere, we have to take into consideration, get electricity to it, being able to get access to, people getting to it. So I rely on their wisdom and what they know. And again, this is only just a sampling of what we could do.
Thank you.
Mr. Burrow.
Mr. Wade?
In terms of the blower, we do have 3 commercial vendors in Almont, Grenius, Lumberjack, and Novak, where you can look for versus Home Depot. So for commercial grade, we can look there to get pricing.
Yeah, well, one of these prices was in fact Lumberjack check. I did stop at Grenier, they said they don't sell this type of equipment. So I did not try Novak's, I just had that sampling from, Mr. Doherty, Lumberjack Shack, and then we have an account with Granger. I looked through Granger as well. So, and again, those prices were all, especially for this time of the year, that 2025, we did it outside of any sort of vendor deal through Star Trek.
And secondly, there is a site, it's Web Soil Surveys, where you can go through, and these are national and state surveys that have been done over the years, that you can, they'll lay overlay of the type of soils in the areas. So we can go through, and the main question we've asked was what type of soil would provide longevity for them to go through. Is it clay, is it sand, is it this percentage of stuff? So I have a document that I did the soil survey over the campus to go through and say, these are the ones. Now I went through and put those types into ChatGPT to say, okay, what to answer that question, and I got 3 different lists, variations. So that company would have to say, okay, it's got to be this one versus 3 different variations of the list that says, because the map doesn't change. It tells us where, it's not going to tell you within the foot, but it tells you, okay, if you have swamp, this is where you want to build. And so the first list I did, it showed 2 areas of swamp, where the high school is and where the OP was, and this end. We're probably not to build, but if we can go through there and maybe that narrows the site of the borings. Instead of having to do 20 borings, you can say, okay, these areas are not good, and we can concentrate on these areas. I'll send that to Mrs. Mom.
Thank you.
Lastly, I just wanted to make the board aware that we have I don't want to say a large repair, but we've got one of our main pumps for our boiler here in the middle school has gone down. The repair for that's going to be close to $5,000 just for parts, and that's me utilizing our ability to buy, I don't want to say wholesale, to buy from the shops, and avoid that upsell from the service company. One other thing that most recently has happened is I came in and the high school boilers were down. They went out in lockout. Very strange that both of them would. And it was very concerning to me because the temperature of the boiler water, especially for the nighttime temperatures being in single digits, had reached a very low critical temperature. So I'm going to bring this, I brought this forward before, going back to 2022, of course, we were looking at the bonds and it just kind of got kicked down. But, and I most recently brought it up in August when we had our building and site committee. But that is looking at integrating glycol into our boiler loops so that no matter what happened, whether it's a February ice storm that we lose power, or in this case that there was some sort of malfunction with the boiler, that I was able to get them started. We had somebody come out and look at them. They've been running fine since. But yeah, if this were to happen, we've had one frozen coil since I've been here, which was the robotics room, and that was a big mess. A couple of years prior to me coming, Mrs. Steinberg's class had a coil for her heater pop, and I believe she had to her instruction space was then out of the media center, out of the library. It could be a lot worse, especially in that situation on a grander scale. So I kind of took some of my numbers from 2022, did my best in a short period of time to come up with some cost of, with inflation for everything. Obviously, the high school is a larger boiler system, so that price is going to be a lot higher than the other ones, and it's going to step down. For example, to add a glycol feeder and the glycol, which is essentially putting antifreeze or a certain percentage of antifreeze in the water, would be $26,500 for the high school, $17,067 for the middle school, $12,350 for the OP, for a total of $55,917. It's something that, I don't know why the boilers dumped out like they did. I've reached out to consumers to see if maybe they can test because that's what was mentioned to me as well, did they lose gas distribution in the area? So I'm waiting to see if maybe consumers can test our gas meter to see if maybe it had enough function. I've seen it happen in freezing rain events where like the outside vents will ice up. So it's just something that I'll continue to monitor, but it would definitely be a good upgrade to our boiler systems.
Mr. Burrell, I have a clarifying question.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Broderick, is that something that you and I know nothing about boilers. Is that something that you can do during the winter, or is that something that can't be done until like the summertime to add all it?
No, I believe we can do it now.
Okay.
We can integrate it into it. I mean, obviously one school at a time, but we'd be able to get everything in place. I don't know if you've ever been into, we have a glycol feeder that's attached to our chiller here at the middle school. So yeah, I mean, they would have to do, you can only do a certain percentage of glycol. You can't go above 30% or you won't have the proper heat transfer as it's pumped around the system. So yes.
And then does that system last for a long period of time?
Yes. And the purpose of the attaching a feeder to it is, I mean, there are levels that you would have to make sure it maintains, like it could deteriorate, in the system itself. But, take the chiller, for example, since I've been here since 2021, we add some to it, not a whole lot. I think I bought a 55-gallon drum of it 3 years ago and still have 85% of it. But you buy it concentrated and you dilute it and add it to the system.
Mr. Miller? Sorry. Mr. Miller? Mr. Frederick, is this something, is like the feeder and all that, like, if we get to that magical day where we replace the boilers in the high school or something like that, would these be reused?
Yes, yep, they could stay in. So I would liken it to, let's just say that you guys, and I know that, especially out in Whistler land, someone's throwing something at the TV and say, no. But let's just say you're gonna add like a water softener to your system at the home. You have that station where you have the salt that would be a glycol feeder, and then you would just pipe it in until you got the proper percentage of glycol within the system. And it would be good. It would give you, for the most part, unlimited freeze protection, no matter what the situation, whether it be equipment failure, whether it be a grid failure, and whether we're a little bit more stable than we were 5, 6, 7 years ago here in Almont. But it still happens.
Thank you. And then, I guess, maybe more, like, what's our, we have to take more action maybe for that?
For that amount of money, yes, that would be a board approved bill.
The point of this was just to make you aware that, this is still kind of a threat that's out there, whether it be Mother Nature or be mechanical failure.
Thank you.
Just because I sat in a finance committee meeting last month, I would just implore the finance committee to look more at operations. We don't have the sinking fund that we had, and Jason had said last year that he was pulling approximately $120,000 on average out of the sinking fund every year to make a lot of these repairs that he's talking about, and that did not get added to his budget in June when we did the budget. So I know we have a budget amendment coming up, and I don't think there was anything for building a site on there, if I'm not mistaken.
You're correct.
And I think that we have to, like, a large portion of that has to be on there. When I was in that finance committee meeting, Mr. Wade brought up, he had done the homework, and he has 20 comparable schools that are in Michigan that are close to what we are as a district for finance and student count, and he said that we are the 20th ranked out of the 20 districts in expenses on operations, which is also a testament for what you're doing to try to save money and keep us functional. But I think that we somehow need to get more money towards operations before we have very, very expensive bills. It is way cheaper to maintenance and fix something for $55,000 than it is to replace it for $3 million. And I know we can't do everything, but I do think that from the finance committee, we do need a portion of that. I think it's approximately $600,000. I think we need a portion of that to go to building and site for some of these repairs that we've identified. The repairs list is extensive. I know we're going to talk about a sinking fund and a bond going forward, which might alleviate some of that for sure, 100%. But I think that our repairs list was $23 million in our last building and site meeting. I think it was roughly around $23 million, which I know we don't have, but we had identified maybe $1 million worth of stuff that was like absolutely critical. and we have no money going to any of that at this point. So, for my next finance meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Burrow and Mr. Frederick, in regards to that list of the critical items, is that in the drive anywhere, like the rest of the, like, I know you have like a huge comprehensive list, but then you narrowed it down to like, this is immediate need. That's something that can be shared with the team?
I can reshare it, because I do know that we highlighted at that, if we're talking about the budget site committee meeting, that we had.
I had that.
We highlighted, and there was a main theme throughout, like it was like the plumbing and
Yeah, there
the
was
sidewalk
part
and
of
the
the
pavement and the side, yeah, so I definitely, I have the same document that you're referencing.
And
Yep.
then my other question for both of you is what you just talked about, what was it called, glycol?
Yeah, antifreeze.
Okay. Would that be like in your top to top five as far as our physical or infrastructure needs?
It was on the list, but it wasn't necessarily the top five that we talked about at the time because the focus was on, safety, sidewalks, carpet, things like that. But it was on that master spreadsheet, as a starter. But events that just occurred most recently, especially with the early cold and, because typically we've been spoiled in that winter's not coming until after Christmas, but here it is. It just kind of brings it to the forefront that, holy cow, this could be, in a situation, we really lucked out with August 28th when we had the flood here. We didn't miss any school the way it happened. But you go pop in a couple of heater coils in a room and we get stuff flooded out, we're back to doing some virtual learning because, unfortunately, the schools shut
So,
down.
in light of what just happened, is it in that top three now?
I would say it definitely moved in the top five, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was trying to gauge importance as well, because we only have so many dollars. So, thank you, that helps. Thank you.
Mrs. Smith?
Mrs. Frederick.
Thank you. First off, yes, I'm 100% prevention, as opposed to trying to deal with things after they occur. So thank you for always looking ahead at those kind of things, and also for how you look at things monetarily for our district, Mr. Frederick. That's greatly appreciated. I can share with you from our finance committee meeting that the finance committee also was very concerned that we were not putting enough money into infrastructure. So, that is, already being discussed, and hopefully, things will shift a little bit, so we'll really take care of some of that, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frederick.
Mr. Burrow, Ms. Smith, that document, I went through, it was August meeting, I think we had that document, so I went through just trying to gauge, so I put the items that had feedback or a dollar amount, I took the highest one, and I put them in the categories less than 25, or less than 10,000, 15 to 25, up to 100 and over 100, and put them in columns and went through. I'll forward that to you guys to go through. I was trying to see is what we have in terms of those lists. Is it bond? Is it sinking fund? Trying to get an idea. Some of those projects, Mr. Frederick, you can, when I send this bond, if you can go through, if they've been completed, go through so I can get a better idea of the dollar amount. I think on that list it was $13, $14 million of what we narrowed it down to. So we'll send that out.
And then with that, I will say that most of the things that Jason is able to handle, and he's confident that he can handle, it is coming in cheaper than what Ron Selly or Barton Mallow listed. So that number is probably inflated a little bit because of project management and all that stuff. So what Jason is confident he can handle, the dollar value will likely be lower than what is listed on that sheet for when the board reviews that. That is all I have. You got anything else, Mr. Burns?
Good.
Mr. Wade, are you good?
Moving on to finance, that's Mr. Wade, Ms. Fred, and myself.
We'll go to checks written.
I have one. I think I know what it is, but I wanted to check, Kathy. 46828. There's a whole bunch. So one,
to J.W. Pepper and Sons.
Yeah, was that instruments or sheet music or?
Yep, it's new band music.
Okay. That's what I thought, but then the one part just says not to exceed, and so I wasn't sure what some of that meant. So I just wanted to check.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
those, yeah.
That's all I got, just wait.
Thank you. Ms. Fred?
I'm good, thank you.
I had 46800.
To Robert Ludlow. Let's see. It says trainer football. Out of the.
Okay, I know what it is. It's the sideline trainer,
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yep.
Thank you. And 46837.
Nomar Inc. Boiler water treat. Aquatrol service contract billing. Boiler water treatment, divided between all three schools.
That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take a moment, check the account balances. Any questions?
None for me.
Student activity funds. Any questions?
None for me.
We are good there. Kathy, classroom costs for you.
I just wanted to give an update on the continuous quest for our answer to our goal as to how many classes can we offer and at what student size to remain physically responsible, like to maintain a teacher-to-student ratio as enrollment changes. The broad analysis previously presented, which is taking the entire general budget and dividing it by teachers and building. So we got that average. And then we did, and just to note that classes and electives are carefully selected to retain enrollment and attract students to our district. Our net funding and income per general education pupil is still a surplus of $355.46 per pupil. Specific high school analysis, we looked at semesters 1 and 2, yet again operating deficit free. We previously presented semester 1 and 2 at an average class size of 23.55 for semester 1 and 22.85 for semester 2. I did propose this request to my Business Managers Academy, where there are 22 other business managers there, and our presenter, Tim Raymer, is a business manager, CFO from Forest Hills, and he has 30 years plus experience, and he had not done an analysis on this, so I'm going to keep searching and pushing. My next step is on Thursday, we are meeting with Lapeer ISD, our business managers group, and I'm going to present, I put it on the agenda to ask that group and the ISD to help us facilitate a formula for how to keep an ongoing pulse on this ratio as enrollment changes and for pupil foundation, the projections are to flatline, and so so we can just keep an eye on those dynamics. I wanted to give an amendment on the budget, an update on the budget amendment, and list just a few reasons here of our delays that are out of our control. Number one, or letter A, is that the state budget was not signed until October 7th. Letter B, the first state aid payment on October 20th did not include any retirement MIPSR's data. That was not fully known until November 21st, which was just a few weeks ago. Letter C, the grants are still not finalized by MDE, even as we speak today. Letter D, that generally other districts' First Amendment is January, February. And in our Finance Committee meeting, we did discuss working to adopt a district budget calendar for Almont. Letter E, we did just receive a GSRP allocation amount on December 2nd, and I met with Star and Sarah Gow at 4 o'clock today to create a budget for GSRP, which is due to the ISD on the 19th, so we're working on that. Adam and I did request a title carryover, so we are waiting on that update. Letter G, of course, everyone is waiting with bated breath on 31AA ruling on December 19th, if a ruling is made. Letter H is the Michigan, I just want to mention that Michigan Public School Accounting Manual that I refer to often, just to check myself, that we are in compliant, and I read all the intricacies of that order, and we are in compliance. Letter I, internally proposed budget changes are being tracked by myself almost daily, frequently. I also wanted to mention, finally, number 3, that the audit, nothing has changed from the audit presentation in October, and it is officially posted on the transparency page. Does anyone have any questions?
Did you just post it? I looked earlier today and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Mr. Wade, Mrs. Merrifield, Frank DeMuth is the one that did do class sizes with cost. Did you ever contact Frank DeMuth?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So I'll contact them.
Did you mention that?
On Thursday? Yep. So it's on the agenda for Thursday too, with the ISD. Anything else? Thank you.
Moving on to policy resignations. The Board of Education may agree to a resignation or retirement at any time after a replacement suitable to the school administration and board is obtained, provided that the circumstances underlying the resignation or retirement are valid in the opinion of the board and warrant a search for replacement. Kim Zondervan has resigned her position as recess aide at Almont Middle School. New hires. The Board of Education approves all personnel. Mr. Bruno is pleased to recommend Ashley Black for the recess lunch aide position at Orchard Tyree. Moving on to our organizational meeting date. Bylaw 0150 states the Board of Education shall organize annually, not earlier than January 1st, immediately following an election held on a November regular election date, and not later than the second Monday in January at a meeting held for that purpose. It is suggested the meeting be held on Monday, January 5th, 2026, at 6:30 p.m.
Bring us to
Mr.
our
Chair.
second.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
On the new hire sheet, in Mr. Bruno's letter, he mentions Ms. Black and then Ms. Godo, and I just wanted to make sure that the name is correct on the recommendation sheet.
I was gonna say, I saw that clerical.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah, so for one,
it is
Yes,
correct.
yes, so that we can, yeah,
Okay.
we'll make sure.
Okay.
for further. Thank you for catching that, Mr. Bruno.
That'll bring us to our second questions and comments from the audience. Anything.
Oh, I think you get a chocolate for waiting.
I do have a comment actually. Hi, my name is Nikki Cobb. I am a kindergarten teacher at OP. If you go back through all the way to the technology survey, when Mr. Eckert was making a comment about some of the applications and programs, it looks like the percentage is really low. One of those on there was Lexia, and Lexia is a program that's used K2, and we weren't part of the survey. So just, there's some things that are super important, but not going to be like a full district type of thing. That was the only thing, because you wouldn't think about that.
Just for clarification, so are you saying you didn't get the link for the survey?
No, I meant, because it was like the one where the students said like which ones they used or what program they used. Because it was only the fourth and up, because it was just middle school and high
I
school.
understand, okay, I understand, gotcha. Okay.
Which I would guess that you would go off the teachers and like what they're actually using, but just in your mind, like just a little context. Like, yeah, like Lexia, we use it all the time, but obviously it's not gonna show up. High school doesn't need it. That was
Thank you
it.
for sharing.
So nothing.
Appreciate the clarification.
Students want ice cream on lunch every day.
Okay, questions and comments from the board?
Mrs. Smith?
Yeah.
Ms. Hahn, I have a question. For GSRP, since the funding had just come in, did we fit every student that we were able to fit, like that applied to GSRP?
Full.
It's full.
I know it's full, but did we have more than that applied that we had to
I am
turn
not-
down, or?
I am not aware of a waiting list. If
Okay.
that's what you're asking, I'm not aware of one, but I can
Okay.
certainly reach out to Ms.
Yeah.
Starr and Mrs. Galvin. Is not, now, this is very timely, because I do have a preschool meeting on Friday, so I will pose that question.
Because we are full capacity, right? We couldn't fit another student if we wanted to, like, yeah. So like, I'm curious if there was
How many?
overflow, if there's overflow, we had to turn down or
Yeah.
not.
I would certainly ask if there's a waiting list.
Thank you much.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Smith, I just thank Jason for your continued efforts and doing as much as you do with as little resources as possible. Ms. Merrifield for, like, it's crazy, it's almost crazy to think, like, this notion of, like, knowing how much we're spending per people or whatever, like, it sort of seems like a no-brainer, like, as you've started to dig into it, like, that seems like great information to have as you're making budget decisions, so thank you for digging into that. And I also thank you to Mrs. Kozlowski for just coming in, and it just seems like a pretty smooth takeover here. So thank you.
Anything else? I want to remind everybody of our strategic plan on Saturday, the 13th, 8 a.m. And thank you all ahead of time for making the time, being there. I was involved in the last one, and it is a really neat process to be part of. So please make sure that you're on time and you've got your thinking pants on and you're ready to go.
Mrs. Smith, the schedule that came out, did say 8:30 to 4.
Was it 8:30?
I was gonna say that, yeah, so the
8 o'clock, I think 8:30 is when the actual start time is, if you will, when it'll get started, but we have continental breakfast, sign in, all of that. So if you could be there probably by 8:15, we'll probably be starting. Yeah, the sooner that we start, the sooner we get out, so just a little nudge there. But there will be continental breakfast and lunch provided, of course, because of the long day, so that is coming in. And thank you to Ms. Jillian here for helping us with those logistics. Really appreciate it.
Any future agenda items?
I don't know if it's pertinent. I think I was discussing with Lisa Smith. Robert's Rules has a section where we can do like unfinished business for the questions that we ask in the meetings. We get brought up at the end of kind of everything and talked about. I don't know if it's worth adding to future agendas as a way to keep things rolling. I don't know if you have follow-up questions on stuff that the public needs to be aware of or anything.
So adding an old business.
Yeah.
section.
Yeah, I think I think the section things progressing.
Why don't we put that on a topic for policy for January? And then we'll dive through it in policy, look at it, and then bring it to the board if we think it's a good addition.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Thank you. Any other future agenda items? Maybe a future snow day was fun, I don't know.
As a matter of fact, my watch was dinging here, and I do have some
I would like-
notifications coming in from the soup, so.
I would
we'll
like
see
to
what happens
say
here.
Oakland County and Macomb County has already shut down.
What? Wow. Well, thank you for that,
Mr. Allen.
City folks.
Yeah, we're tougher than that, come on.
We've never driven on an inch of snow before.
Well, then we best adjourn here soon.
Yeah. Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Burrow.
I move
Oh,
the
there's
board.
another question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Adam.
Mr. Allen, you reminded me, we had that email around about, the guardian and such.
Yes.
Do we want to bring that up here?
Yeah, so, Mr. Egger asked a very good question, if you want to explain.
I did the watchdog, and there were several kids talking about, how they were getting around systems and installing build blocks and Fortnite and stuff like that. I got asking questions, and Mr. Allen gave a pretty detailed and very good explanation that they have, like safety systems and such for the Chromebooks.
I'm gonna, Mr. Egger's being not even nice enough. Colin gave a phenomenal synopsis of how the whole system works and what they can and can't get into, and I did get his permission, so I'm going to share the email information with everybody today. I felt like it was very much worthwhile, and he did a fabulous job in letting us know how our systems work in the background. So thank you for bringing that up. So I will get that to you guys in the next day or two.
Thank you.
Mrs. Smith? Just going off of that now, Colin, you are amazing. The staff tells me how awesome you are from every single building. Your name is always put up there at the top for praise, so I don't know that you ever hear that, but I want you to know that. That is the absolute truth.
Thank you.
Any other future agenda items?
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Burrow.
I move the Board of Education adjourn the December 9th, 2025 work session at 7:29 p.m.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
It's a competition.
All in favor?
Aye.